Hello, I'm Carl Thompson, the creator of the Ultimate Financial Calculator, or UFC for short. This video roughly follows the written tutorial number 1 on the AccurateCalculators.com website. You'll find links to both the calculator and the 25 tutorials below. During the first portion of this video, I'll show you how to calculate a loan payment amount and create an amortization schedule using the UFC. After that, I'll review some settings that can impact your results. First, at a fundamental level, all loans have 4 primary attributes. You'll need to know at least 3 of the 4 to create your amortization schedule. The 4 are the loan amount, the interest rate, the term or number of payments, and the payment amount. Additionally, for an accurate schedule, you'll need to know the loan's origination date. That is, when the borrowed funds are available. You should also know the date the first payment is due. Of course, there may be other details, and in some cases there may be agreed upon customizations for paying off a loan, and the UFC can easily handle structured loans if needed. Still, the point is that all loans will have the previously mentioned 6 attributes. For this tutorial, we will assume a simple loan, that the scheduled payment will be regular, and that the amount is initially unknown. To set up the calculation, we will confirm that the schedule type is set to loan and then click New to clear the calculator of any previous entries. The first step is to enter the loan's interest rate. The interest rate is entered just below the button row. We will assume a 4.5% rate with monthly compounding. Next, we move down to the cash flow area of the calculator. The disbursement of the loan proceeds is the first cash flow. Therefore, we'll enter the origination date and the loan amount in the first row. For now, we'll leave the date set as is. The calculator will default to the current date and enter the loan amount, $250,000. In the second row of the cash flow table, we'll enter the payment cash flows. Rather than having to enter each cash flow individually, which you could do to record different amounts or irregular payment dates, we can set the calculator so that all payments are for the same amount and are due 1 month apart. To accomplish this, set the second row to payment. You could also set the first payment due date, but we'll let the calculator set it for us. The calculator will default to the first payment date, being due 1 month after the loan originates. Since we don't know the payment amount, I'll type a U to indicate it is unknown. The lender requires that the borrower pays the loan off in 180 payments. I'll enter the number of payments in the number column. That's all we need to do to set up the calculation. Now we can click on the Calculate button. Notice that the calculated monthly payment amount replaces unknown. To view the amortization schedule, click on Schedule. For now, we can click on Skip Title page. Notice you'll have choices for 3 destinations. You can send the amortization schedule to an XLSX Excel file, a DOCX Word file, or the printer. If you choose the printer, you can change the printer destination to a PDF file. I'll point out one other detail. The calculated payment amount is right on the money. We can see this by scrolling to the end of the schedule. The report's footer shows how much the final payment gets rounded. In this case, the last payment is increased by 75 cents. Because the loan's term is 180 payments, if the calculated payment had been a penny more or a penny less, the rounding adjustment required would have exceeded 75 cents. If you are curious, you can see by increasing and decreasing the payment by a penny and looking at the schedule. As you can see, creating an amortization schedule for a simple loan is a very straightforward process. Though you now know how to calculate the payment amount, I suggest that you continue watching. I'll review other settings for a long and short first period that can impact a loan's interest calculations. I think you should understand these options. That completes the first part of this tutorial. In the prior lesson, I showed you how to calculate an unknown payment amount. The example loan I used required the borrower to make monthly payments with the origination date, that is, the day the loan amount is available, set to December 17th, and the first payment date set to January 17th. Thus, the first payment occurs on the date that is exactly one payment frequency from the origination date. In this case, we say we have a regular first period. But what if the first payment had been due on February the 1st? Or what if it had been due on January the 1st? In the first case, when the payment is due on February 1st, we say we have a long first or initial period. That is, the time between the loan's origination and the first payment is longer than the scheduled payment frequency. The additional days are known as odd days, and we need to account for the interest owed to the lender for these extra days. In the second case, when the payment is due on January 1st, we say we have a short initial period. That is, the time between the loan's origination date and the first payment is shorter than the scheduled payment frequency. When the first period is shorter than the payment frequency, the lender is due less interest. A calculator needs to be able to calculate the difference. This is why dates are important if you are interested in accuracy. Let me show you what I mean. I'll change the first payment date to February the 1st and click on Schedule. For now, skip past the title page. Notice that in the first line of the schedule, we now have an interest payment. The $468 is the interest charge for the first 15 odd days of the loan, that is December 17th to January 1st. The Ultimate Financial Calculator, as well as many other calculators at AccurateCalculators.com, gives you, the user, control over how odd day interest is calculated and when it is collected. Again, let me show you what I mean. If you click on Settings and select 360/365, change the number of days to 365 and save those changes. Now click on Schedule, skip past the title page, and look at the first row. The odd day interest is now changed to $462. The day per year setting impacts odd day interest calculations or interest calculations when the compounding is set to exact, daily, or continuous. But what if the interest for the odd days is not due at the loan signing? Then what? There is one other setting that impacts the initial interest calculation. Click on Settings and select Interest Options. Here you can tell the calculator when the odd day interest is due. The top half of this window gives the options for long periods and the bottom half for short periods. Notice the default setting for the long period is with origination. I'll change it to with first and save my changes to close the window. Now look at the schedule. Skip past the title page. The first row has no interest payment any longer. The second row shows a first payment larger than the regularly scheduled payment amount. This is because the first payment of $2,376 also includes the odd day interest. Of course, when the borrower pays the odd day interest depends on the lender. No one answer is correct. That's why the calculator gives you options. Let's look at another way the lender can collect the odd day interest. Set the payment amount to unknown. Click on Settings and select Interest Options. Change it to Amortize. Save your changes to close the windows and calculate the payment. The payment amount changed from $1,912 to $1,916, or roughly a $4 increase. Now look at the schedule. All payments are for the same amount. The borrower pays a portion of the odd days' interest with each payment. I'm sure you get the idea. One final note. Since short periods have fewer days, the options available for short periods do not impact when the borrower pays the interest. Let's take a look. Instead, the options only affect how the calculator determines the payment amount. The calculator can reduce either the first payment or all payments. If you select no payment reduction, then the final payment will be adjusted, assuming that the rounding options is not set to open balance. This rounding option here. This video is my first on explaining the UFC. Let me know what you think. I plan to create more video tutorials, and I'll consider your input as I do. If you have questions, ask them in the comments below or on the AccurateCalculators.com website. If you found this helpful, please upvote it and share. Thank you for watching.